These are my tools to create awesome PS3 tutorials. Let's do this.
Hey guys, this is Versatile from Project Phoenix Media. So we got a really interesting PS3 video today. I just want to showcase this PS3 system CFW that I've been working on for a friend as a birthday gift. And what I've done is basically tricked it out, and I wanted to showcase this project that I've been working on for a while to give any PS3 users out there some ideas of what they could do potentially with their own PS3 system as well. So for kicks here, I'm going to show you my system information, and we see that I'm spoofed to 4.83 just in case if you ever want to play online, and I did that using the Send enabler. And here's a list of different programs I have installed on this current machine right now. So for fun, let's go through some of the webman games I have installed here. So I have a couple PS3 games, not many, but my friend, he's big into fighting games. So what I did was I helped him rip his game collection and some other stuff too to add PS2 and PS1 fighting games. The majority of these games are fighting games, and damn, there's a lot of fighting games on the PS1. And I'll talk a little bit more about this a little bit later in the video, but it was a lot of effort in setting this all up, and I'll go over that high level detail a little bit later in this video. If you're big into emulation, make sure you create your PS1 and PS2 memory cards. Otherwise, you're going to get like a memory card error when you start any of those games later on. And last but not least, let's go into RetroArch. And the other flip side of this console that I want to load up basically for him is add a bunch of games related to old school consoles. So using the latest RetroArch, I have these folders here for like the Atari. So I have like basically an entire Atari game collection, Game Boy Color, and the list goes on and on. We'll have a Game Boy Advance here, and then there's also a MAME, there's a Nintendo, there's a Super Nintendo, there's a Sega. And if you're curious on how you can find some of these games, basically just go to Google, go to your favorite search engine. I'm sure you can find something. But RetroArch, it does a pretty good job of playing the games. I didn't have any issues when I was doing some spot testing here and there. And we'll go over some example RetroArch game playing here in a second here. So what we're going to do here, let's do just a MAME game for kicks. And let's do this X-Men vs. Street Fighter. And we're going to use the MAME 2003 core. I think that works pretty well. You could probably get away with MAME 2000 as well. So if you guys are curious on how to rip and transfer like PS1, PS2 games, how to make them work on your PS3 basically, you can see the more in-depth tutorial on the PS3 playlist. So this is one of the main games. Emulation works fine, audio's fine, input lag, I don't notice any if there is any. Video is fine. So I know there's a couple of you guys that are big into MAME emulation, which is cool. And you can definitely set up your PS3 to be that ultimate badass, arcade machine if that's something you want to do. So I know that PlayStation Classic came out recently, but I think if you get a modded PS3, you can definitely blow the PlayStation Classic out in the water and do whatever you want, because not only can you play PlayStation 1 games, you can do PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3, and a whole bunch of old school emulators as well. So we're going to quit this, and we'll just run one more example. And I think for this one, we're going to do the Game Boy Advance. So we'll just pick a random Game Boy Advance game here to showcase this as well. Since, we all know that Nintendo and Super Nintendo works on the system, but I don't think a lot of people know that you could do like Game Boy Advance. Technically speaking, you can also do like Game Gear, but my friend's not really a Game Gear kind of guy, so I sort of left it off. And I never personally tested it, but I know there's a core for it, so that's pretty cool if you're interested in doing Game Gear, I suppose, on your PS3. So this is Advance Wars 2, pretty cool, one of those strategy kind of games. I think I pressed the wrong button here, so we're just going to do this again. But the hardest part, I would say, in setting up this whole system, it's not really that hard. But like, you notice that for the cover art I had for the PS2 and PS1, when you do the PS3, Multiman somehow knows what the cover art is. It means on the game disc, so you don't have to worry as much. But for the PS1 and PS2, unless there's a better way, what I ended up doing was I went to Google, found the cover art manually, and I had to resize it manually, and then I got to rename the image files manually to make it match the name of the PS2 or PS1 game. And then last but not least, I had to transfer these games over to the PS3. And I did a file transfer protocol method, which saved a lot of time. They were using the WinSCP. So if you're interested in how to run PS1 and PS2 games on your PS3, I do have dedicated tutorials on the PS3 playlist where you can find more information about that. So what we're going to do is quit RetroArch and just go through some quick examples of a PS2 game and then also a PS1 game as well. And, you know, the cover art, you know, it's not really necessary, but I you know, it does give it a nice touch. And especially if you're skimming through the game library like I am, it's easier to find a game made by a picture rather than reading the text, you know. So we're going to run Resident Evil 4. It is one of those classic PS2 games. And I do want to say that during my journey of the PS1 and PS2 games on the PS3, not every single PlayStation 2 game is going to work. I mean, the majority will, but every once in a while you might find a bad egg that just flat out won't work, or you get a black screen. In those cases, maybe consider playing it on a PS2. And then in some rare cases, some PS1 games don't work on a PS3. If you can believe that, I had 2 games that did not work. So for those cases, probably best case scenario, play on a PS1 or your modded PS2 maybe, or, you know, play on the PC or Android or whatever with an emulator. So here we can see that Resident Evil 4 is it's working, it's loading. I'm gonna mess around with video options a little bit here, try to see if we can get it full screen, see how that works. So I know there's a lot of different emulations there. You can get by with a Raspberry Pi, or maybe you could use, you know, those classic systems, NES, Super Nintendo, all those kind of things. But I think, you know, using a PS3 is sort of nice because it does have the built-in PS1 emulator. So it's going to run those games at full speed from what I've seen myself so far. And plus you get you can install a big hard drive as well. And once you get everything set up, it's pretty cool to have just one console that can pretty much do almost everything. You know, there's no Nintendo 64 emulator, unfortunately. So I don't think it's ever gonna happen. Maybe you might get better luck on Nintendo Switch as in the future. But you know, if you want to use a PS3 as your ultimate retro gaming kind of system for your old school consoles and your PlayStation 1, 2, and 3 games, and maybe you want to store some movies, and you want to play online occasionally and do mod menus, all that kind of stuff, yeah, I think PlayStation 3 is a great way of doing it. So we're going to run a quick PS1 game here. We're going to do Bloody Roar. I don't think a lot of people know about this game, but it's a pretty interesting fighting game, you know, back in this day, you know. So this particular system is, if I haven't mentioned already, is 250 gigabytes. So I've pretty much almost filled this to max. I left about 4 gigabytes free, just for free space for save game files and just miscellaneous stuff, you know. So that's what I ended up doing. Now I sort of went overboard because my friend, who's a big fighting nerd, so I did get him a lot of fighting related games. But if it was me personally, I wouldn't rip that many games myself in my own system. I only may put on the games I would really play rather than put like everything on and only play like 10%, you know. So, but that's just me. I know other people, they like put everything on their system, you know. That's perfectly fine too. It's all convenient to have it as an all-in-one. And here we see the PlayStation 1 game is working fine. And if you want to emulate the PlayStation Classic list of those 20 games, I'm pretty sure you could do that on PS3 and it'd be no issues at all. So that's pretty cool from that standpoint as well. So that is today's video. It's just to give you guys an idea of, hey, I have a modded PS3, or I'm thinking about getting a PS3. What can I do with it? So hopefully this gave you some ideas, some motivation possibly to go ahead and do this as a weekend project or whatever and have a lot of fun with it. So if you guys have any nitpicky questions, leave a comment here on the YouTube page and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. Once again, thank you for watching. Take care. Bye.